This is the Rockville VOL855 100-watt stereo wall volume controller with a 12-step volume slider. Now the VOL855 will work with any standard home or pro audio stereo receiver or amp that is 50 watts per channel. If you have a standard stereo receiver, you can connect one of these to the left and right channel of that receiver. If you have a multi-zone amplifier or receiver, you can connect one of these to each zone. And if you have something like an 8-channel amplifier, you can connect 4 of these to it, with each controller being connected to 2 channels on that amp. Now keep in mind, this controller was not designed to be used with 70-volt amplifiers or in 70-volt systems. So if you are looking for a wall controller for your 70-volt system, check out our 70-volt wall controllers. This volume controller has 2 functions. 1, it will control the volume output of any channel from your receiver or amplifier, and 2, normally you can only connect around 2 or 4 speakers to your stereo receiver, but with the impedance compatibility switch, you can use this wall controller and connect up to 8 speakers without worrying about overloading your amplifier. To explain how this controller works, you take either a single amplifier channel or zone output left and right from a multi-zone amp and plug it directly into the input terminals on this volume controller with normal speaker wire. Next, you will run speaker wire from the output of the wall controller to the speaker terminals. If you want to connect more than 2 speakers, you can run the speaker wire from the positive terminal of speaker A to the positive terminal of speaker B, and then also from the negative terminal of speaker A to the negative of speaker B. This is called parallel wiring, and it's the simplest way to daisy chain multiple speakers together. Now, a super cool feature of this volume controller is its impedance compatibility switch, which allows you to connect a range of as little as 1 speaker to as many as 8 speakers to this controller off of 1 stereo channel of your amplifier. Now, there are 5 positions for this switch. The first is the off position, which will shut off all power and signal to this controller. This is used during the installation process. Then there is the 1x, 2x, 4x, and 8x positions. These different positions are going to depend on the amount of speakers you are running in parallel in your setup and what the final impedance of the speakers are. If you are running a single 8 ohm speaker to this controller, you will set the switch to the 1x position, which will keep the impedance the same. If you are using 2 8 ohm speakers or using 1 4 ohm speaker, then we recommend you first set the switch to the 2x position, and if you are happy with the power, then leave it, but if you need a little bit more power, change it to the 1x position. If you are using 2 4 ohm speakers in parallel or 4 8 ohm speakers in parallel for the final impedance of 2 ohms, then we recommend you first set the switch to the 4x position. If you are happy with the power, then leave it, but if you need a bit more power, change it to the 2x position. If you are using 4 4 ohm speakers in parallel or 8 8 ohm speakers in parallel for a final impedance of 1 ohm, you're going to set the switch to the 8x position. This impedance compatibility switch gives you the flexibility to match different amounts of speakers to your volume controller and then to your amplifier, and create setups that you would have not been able to do if you were going directly from your speakers to your amp. Now, installing the VOL855 is super easy to do with the Euroblock terminals that quick disconnect for simple wiring. And since this is a stereo controller, there are 2 sets of left and right terminals for inputting and outputting. The beautifully designed faceplate will seamlessly match your standard decor, and the standard 1 gang size will ensure that it'll perfectly fit into any electrical box in your home. And once you have it installed, you'll have precision volume control with a 12-step slider that has an absolute off position for when you want no music coming into that room. The VOL855 gives you the ease and convenience of controlling the music volume signal of your stereo channel amplifier or receiver from the room you are in without having to adjust anything on the amp itself. And if you do have a multi-zone amplifier, the VOL855 is the best way to get in-room volume control for all of your different zones. So if you're looking for an 100-watt stereo wall volume controller with a 12-step slider, look no further than the VOL855 from Rockville.